Oh man.
Yeah, so growing up in Inglewood,
Inglewood?
as a young, actually playing outside. I mean, that's the era I come from, where Rich reminded me that punishment used to be not going outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how important, like, playing was.
That's completely flipped now. Now it's like, go outside. It's like,
Why? That's what I'm supposed to do out there?
Nothing.
Yeah. Can I take my device?
Yeah, can I take the handheld?
Sit outside with the handheld. That's funny. Yeah, but we used to, have elaborate, like, levels of play, man. It was, beyond sports, right? Because I think sports is kind of
universal
and just the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got to figure, it was some days, man, we would start. Some people wanted to start earlier, like earlier than we
trying to get your Saturday morning cartoons in.
Yeah, we was trying to rest. How about that? These dudes, man, be at the door ready, revved up. Like. But so you gotta figure we would run all day until dusk. Like, it's deep. And surviving on snacks because parents were at work for the most part,
Right.
And yeah, water hose water, like
the most delicious water in existence.
Ice cream. If you had enough at that time, it was like Big Stick. I think was the the least expensive, but somehow it was still delightful. Man, it was probably like 25 or 35 cents. You know what I'm saying? And then your Pink Panthers and Boo Berry and all them other joints would be like
it's always been expensive.
Yeah,
apparently.
it's 75 cents or something.
Add a dollar or two to that when I was a kid. Oof.
Yeah, so the ice cream truck was a relief, but that wasn't for everybody. A handful of us had some coins for that, and definitely not enough to like everybody gets something. You know what I'm saying? But playing outside all day, you couldn't do sports, or we didn't do sports. I know some people did. We would it would morph. It'd be like, yo, let's let's walk to 7-Eleven, for instance. You see what I'm saying? And then on the way, then a game would emerge. Typically on the way back, it was this old man's house. I guess he was from because I'm calling our era Old Inglewood. So he was from older Inglewood. He was it was funny. He lived in this front where like an apartment that had a couple units facing towards the street. And on our way home, this was on like Inglewood Ave. On our way home, it was like ritual to bang on this dude's door, right?
Damn. Horrible.
Dude, it's the funniest because he was hip. Like we was doing it so much. It was like on the way to and back. I'm almost certain we was just killing this dude. And he started trying to leave like a little curtain. He must have been a retired dude too, which is hilarious. This white neighbor getting involved in a game he had wanted no parts of.
Right.
So he started trying to leave his curtain open. I guess he thought that would be like a deterrent.
Yeah, like you being watched.
Yeah, so we would walk by and he's sitting right there, and there's a boom, 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 boom. Everybody like hitting and kicking with that back kick, that donkey kick. Boom. Oh,
how you horrible? Why you putting footprints in this door?
Yeah, so we would haul ass, man, in either direction. If we was going to the store, it'd be running towards like Centinela, you feel me? And then back, it'd be running top speed to like the buildings, but you kind of had to run like in the lawns, like so you could when he come look down the street, you don't see nothing. There was a whole science to it, man. But, that ding dong ditch was the most official one because you can do that to any door, and all of the doors were funny. Obviously to the people playing the game.
Yeah.
But that was funny in particular because he was aware that this was the ritual, and he still couldn't catch nobody. Damn, boy. Talking about living up to the stereotype, boy.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, man, it'd be like elaborate games of like chase. Like we would have regular chase around this particular building. It was like two buildings next to each other, and we would run around them. But they would get like advanced when the older kids would participate. Like this cat, Bruce had some younger siblings that would come, like his half brothers type thing, and they would spark up, like in My D and Bobby, Marcus, right? So these dudes would be like, they would instigate the super chase, like, you know what I'm saying, like get caught, get beat type thing.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so we was on hyper hide and seek alert, like it was like advanced chase, like climbing the gates. You know what I'm saying? The hiding was like across the street. And, just running top speed, really trying not to get caught, you know what I'm saying, with these cats. But that just showed, like, the layers of involvement, like where we were never, like, alone. Whereas I feel a lot of younger people are alone to come up with bad ideas that we already proved were bad. Like, nobody told them, like, yeah, you don't want to do that because that leads to prison, right?
Yeah.
So these older cats would be around and made sure we kept playing. You know what I'm saying? Kept it fun. They'll be like, all right, all right, let's start swimming. And swimming was a difficult one for me because I didn't, like, there was a person who taught everybody to swim. I don't know if I touched on this already.
I don't know.
But I didn't get in the water, like, to learn from her. So everybody knew how to swim. It was this Spanish chick named Lisa, I believe her name was. She was a big woman, like, like big, like. Yeah. But she can float and swim, and she taught everybody how to swim. And I was too embarrassed because I think that summer that everybody learned, I didn't learn.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, damn. So I'm out here trying to teach myself when ain't nobody looking. Like, instead of just getting this YMC, lesson
Legend
from, get this learner of all men and all things. I just, I fell off with that. So that was a tough one. I was like, damn, I didn't really get in the water because, of course, if you know how to swim, then horse playing, although it's not permitted, right? Yeah, is part of playing in the pool, and I didn't want to obviously drown, right? Because I didn't really know how to swim. And they was jumping off the roof and into the. I mean, it was an elaborate level of play that I was missing out on, and I decided not to be that dude no more. I really somehow I taught myself and hurried it along, and I got to jumping off the roof too. I was like, I don't know who was supervising that particular pool. Like, what are you doing? But we used to play on the roofs. Like rooftop play. Like I remember this one cat said, man, I ain't seen that since like New York. Like, But we would like, that was our shortcuts, you know what I'm saying? We was heavily influenced by martial arts movies and all that, so we felt like unbreakable on multiple levels. And we used to travel like, he lived on eucalyptus. It's like, oh, okay. Like, you go through a fence, you hop another fence, climb on the roof, and I forget what we used to call that when you kind of hang jump. We would jump down where you kind of you cut the length, some distance. Cut the length, and we would be at the other person's house. Like, had to go through wait for somebody to open up a gate, and like anything but buzz yourself in, right? or call the actual resident, right? So all this sneaking around, getting in through carports and all this just to link up, But it was like a real desire to have fun. Like we would seek it, like, like school brought different neighborhoods together, although the neighborhood is the same, right? When you get older, it's like, oh, this is down the street. Somehow it felt like
so far away.
Yeah, forever away, right? So we would, we should go, go to Faustino's neighborhood, right? Which is like 5 blocks down the street. Yeah. And then they had a whole ritual of things and play that they were, and then you play games with these cats. And, I remember this one house had, it was on the corner of Plymouth and like Glenway, I think. It had it was one of the last houses because, like, this is right before they started gentrifying and tearing every house down to make a condo, right? Like, it's like somehow every single space turned into like 20 condos.
Right, which is why there's no parking in Inglewood. Exactly.
So this house on the corner had a huge yard, and it sat in the middle of the yard. And on the side of her house, she had like a pomegranate tree. like an official fruit tree that bared fruit. Like this shit was amazing, right? So these people would talk about it's like, yeah, we can go like pomegranate hunting or something. Like it was a whole thing. Like it's like so we when we show up, it's like, what you mean? What you talking about? Oh, the old house or old lady on that or whatever the name was, the old house on the corner. Like they have a pomegranate tree. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I'm familiar with it when I see it. But that was more so like my sister's fruit. Like, you know what I'm saying? You had to, I don't know, like that candy apples and pomegranates used to come like from, there was the boys market then, used to come to the household, but I don't think she was sharing at that time, you know?
Nah.
So
candy apple share? Nah, you don't get those shared.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. So, so anyway, I wasn't familiar with how bomb this fruit was. And I don't know if it was also the hunt, the chase, you know what I'm saying, that made it, you know, so fascinatingly delicious, right? So they tell us the whole drill. I mean, it's like a drill. Here's another. Obviously, this is a ding dong ditch situation for this particular
for this neighborhood,
for this household as well. Like, you know, they can come and steal your fruit. I don't know why you don't pick them and just make them available to the neighborhood children.
You
so maybe there's a slice of bigotry. You know what I'm saying? Again, this would probably be older Inglewood, right? So this homeowner, you know, somebody decided not to, you know, take flight with the rest of the race. So they telling us to play like, okay, we gonna pull up this gate. It was like you pull up the gate, you don't even hop the gate. They were breaking this lady's gate, right? Pulling this gate up, my man, for the
crawl under.
For the crawl under, yes, yes. And I don't know who got selected.
They were trying to be stealthy because you jump the gate, it makes too much noise.
You know, this is advanced play. Like, I mean, somehow, obviously, it's under the trespassing.
Yeah, trespass.
But again, this is playing in these days.
Yes.
And this is what we want to be outside to do. Like, you did what? Oh man, you went pomegranate hunting. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So, however the fruit came off the tree, whoever, I don't know if the best climber, I don't know how high the tree was. You know, everything was huge in you know, in the early days. And then you look back, that was the tree. Yeah, but
I'm taller than this tree.
Exactly. So, I mean, that was the best fruit like ever. But each neighborhood had that. Like you'll go over here and you got to bring a towel because you know they're gonna be swimming, or you got to, you know, bring your bikes over here, or skateboard day, let's go over here. You know, it's like, and it was a very interesting, like separation, like, but it wasn't. It was like, school connected us all, but if you went up here, I remember it was what was that, Comcot? Kumquat, I think is the name of the fruit. It's a type of fruit.
Oh,
right?
It's a fruit.
Now check this out.
That was a store. I thought it was a warehouse store.
And somehow nobody's enforcing. I'm sure all parents tell you, don't be eating nothing off no tree. Like,
why?
I mean, poison? How about that? Like, you ain't never heard the berries? Like those little berries.
I heard about the berries.
Like
can make
they
you
should
sick.
Be edible, but
nothing from a tree should make you sick.
Okay, there you go. Maybe that's why we all ate from these trees, because this other cat was like, oh, you know, let's go get some kumquats or whatever the proper name is.
Why did you guys know these days?
I did not know this name. This dude and his neighborhood and his ding dong ditch included kumquat. So it's like, okay, like, you know, you walking through somebody's, again, everything is in somebody's yard. It's like, if you don't mind your business. So we were walking through people's property and it's like, there they go right now. Get something like a bag or something. And it's like, I don't have no bags. All right, just use your shirt, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you putting all this dirty fruit in your shirt. And you know, it should be quiet because they be tripping. Like, of course.
Still they good. What is it called?
Kumquats.
Kumquats.
Yeah, I think it's something.
Man.
And anyway, you know, but to eat this, my man, we finally. I don't even know if we rinsed them. I mean, it's just some real outdoorsmen, you know. So we eat it, and it is heavenly. Like when I tell you, like what? Like this is what's in this neighborhood. Like we have to come. this is better than the pomegranate.
Oh man.
So just a sweet little fruit, like peach, like family type fruit. Just a real like good eating, man. Good eating. Like, I was like, yo, like this is what y'all doing out here. You down the street with hose water, hoping that the ice cream truck comes. Yeah, you kumquats.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it was always it was an adventure, and then like you really like travel like when you had to cross like the big streets like La Brea and Centinela, like kind of you shouldn't be crossing these streets, you know, but of course
you cross those streets.
No, not necessarily often, like not often, but for Halloween.
Yes.
Oh, the neighborhood. The Dare Heights somehow started right across Centinela. I don't know if that's their official zoning, but
that's what you knew.
The Dare Heights. That was the Dare Heights. And dude, right across the fairway, man, was chocolate on Halloween.
They had the good stuff, right?
Oh man,
not that cheap. Not that cheap, like trash candy, hard candy that the old people had. They had the real, like
not the candy that was at my mother's house. Like not that candy, not that candy, not just the hard grandma candy.
Yeah. They had the Mr. Good bars and
oh man, Snickers,
Twix,
Crunch. Ooh.
Oh, the crunchy. That's the Crunch bar.
Oh, that was great.
Were they giving the real bars out, or they had the small ones?
It was a small one, but they would give you a handful. Oh, okay, you know.
Oh, the handful. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was
That
the crackle.
Yeah, that neighborhood was somehow so far away, but not.
It was necessary.
It was. I mean, it was. We just never went through that. And I mean, unless you was going to like Zodi's or if you went to La Tijera or Parent, like those are some schools in that neighborhood. But it was nothing.
I've heard of those schools. Yeah.
It was nothing that you didn't hang out over there. Although they had like the lawn, because back in the day, like the grass. The soft grass was where you played football. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's like, if you can get two of them lawns with a small driveway, oh man, it's official.
I just hate to get tackled on that little driveway part.
Oh, that driveway
concrete
used to catch you. Yeah.
That's also how you got stripes, though.
Oh, it was all part of it. Skinning up knees and
okay, he hit the concrete. He back on his feet. Okay.
That was...
They're only the older people, man. Okay, yeah.
Dust it off, little man.
That's how you just get the handoffs, though. You got to take that one hard hit on the concrete, and they be like, oh, he good.
And somehow walking down to Rogers Park didn't, like, dawn on us. Like,
I was going to ask you that. Like, what's up with the park?
That's where the grass is green. Like, literally.
Listen, at Rogers Park, when you was there, because you Old Inglewood, was there actually, like, water in those pools? The little...
Oh yes, that was that opened.
I've never
it was
seen
a season.
Those things with water in them.
It was one pool, like a wading pool. Like we never got into it. It was more of
for kids.
a younger, you know. I mean, Spanish people took full advantage for some reason. I mean, I think that was the rumors that the little children peed in the pool, which come to find out,
all kids pee in pool.
Yeah, and somehow it didn't really bother you when you peed in the pool. It was
somebody
strange.
Else did it. It was like, it was nasty.
But I don't think I ever remember being grossed out ever by it. It was like the chlorine would kill it. Like
that was the answer.
That was the answer.
That's always the answer.
Don't defecate, obviously, but everything else, yeah.
The floater in the water.
Yeah, but Rogers Park had that little pool in the middle, and it would be filled like from spring to the end of summer or something periodically. But what Rogers Park did have was baseball games, and I remember my brother used to play. But it wasn't him playing, and I never played. Like, I think he left, it was too big of a legend. Like, him and his homeboys really was like all-stars.
They was almost going to championships.
Yeah, so, you know, I didn't really see, I think I had a ego problem. I think for lack of a better term, I didn't want to be in a learning phase. I just wanted to show up knowing. That's deep.
That's
man.
The problem. We just figured it out, man.
That's
we'll talk about it on another podcast. Yeah. We just figured it out.
The whole life is solved, right?
Yeah, ego.
Yeah, but because I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to strike out, like, so I didn't learn. And I never played like baseball. I remember one time I tried to play when I had to move to another neighborhood, and these cats were kind of laughing at me because I didn't know the rules. We didn't play organized sports like that. We played it a percentage, something, right, of sports, but then we was obviously a more creative neighborhood. I hate to be the one to say
more artistic.
But, yeah, maybe because I didn't know like you can't slide on first and all this. I was like, oh, okay, like, but it was like the team I was on was like, oh, who picked him? And then the other team was snickering. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Like, we're playing. Like,
we're trying to win. That's the competition.
But the
it's competition.
No,
it's competition. Like, yo,
no, I competed. My bad.
I'm not saying you did it. I'm just
but not
saying,
for sports. Yeah, not
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, sports. That's why it was to be that. So you never had the experience that like people not trying to get picked last, like on a team.
Yeah, but that was more during school kickball.
No, that was
and
like
so
everywhere because you went to the park for us. Mm-hmm. Man, you be like, fuck, I don't want to get picked last. Like, I know I ain't the best, but I need to be mid tier, man.
Yeah, no, it's tough, man. Yeah, no, I've had to show improve. More so when, of course, the quarterback for both sides came. Like, all right, little man, was something about getting that person's approval, which is tragic. Like, I don't even know if we needed it, but we
might have actually needed it. That's funny.
The grown man playing with the kids.
I don't know what that was about. Well, I don't think they were ever really grown men.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
They were really just like 14-year-olds and you were 9, like, and they looked like grown men. Yeah,
this is true. But what I do remember about Rogers Park, a baseball season was the parents would take turns, I imagine, running the store.
Yeah, the food stand or whatever.
The food stand.
Snack bar.
And at that time, man, they used to make like real burgers, like legendary, like the best ever. Like back when, and I guess people still make them like make burgers like that. But you used to chop up your onions and really season the patty. You feel me? And really, I know it's a thing against red meat nowadays, but.
Haters.
Yeah, it used to be a real like fucking Angus burger coming out of this little shack, a little shack in the middle of the park. Like, what the hell?
You want? Okay.
Yeah, man, that was really good. I don't know if that was just one mother doing, overdrive, or if that was just the culture in that little shed, man. But I remember that about that. But other than that, we didn't really take the walk. And I don't know if it's because other children had parameters as to where they could play, right? And I had that too, to an extent. And like I said, the don't pass, Centinela, you know what I'm saying, and La Brea type of thing. But it wasn't a strictly enforced thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if these people had to beat your ass parents that was like, don't leave the yard. So that's probably why we were so central, although they didn't make that announcement to us.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Maybe that's why they was jumping over the roofs and sliding through the parking decks. Like, they was real your other people was real stealthy with theirs. Like,
yeah, maybe something else was happening. Yeah, but I never lived in the building that I played. So I had a little more liberty, whereas those people's knew your parents type thing.
Yeah, they had eyes on you.
Yeah, whereas I was kind of, I was the visitor. Yeah. I didn't live far, literally around the corner.
No,
but not being in that building, I don't know. But I know that what we ended up doing, because bike riding was the same for me as well. Like, I didn't know how to ride a bike until forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have that training wheels or somebody push you, none of that. I didn't have that push you in the deep end. I never had none of that. It was just like, I was outside clearly to play, like to play in the truest,
the purest form.
I was a purist. We're talking about how you compete. I'm competing for underground playground levels. So I remember it was like a little hill, big hill type thing with this. Yeah. It was just driveways. And I was bad. I was a fraud, man. Unfortunately, I'm confessing to being a fraud. What? A fraud.
Oh, fraud.
A fraud.
Why are you a fraud?
Because I was playing like I can ride a bike because I was embarrassed that I didn't know how to ride a bike. It's tough, man. That's peer pressure. Not because they pressured me, because I respected them and loved them so. You feel me?
So we're getting deeper into your ego problem, though.
Actually, we probably moving away from the word ego to like humanity. Just show you the human elements here. Man. What was that work? The love and compassion I have for these guys, man.
This love scammer.
I didn't want to let them down, man.
Okay.
But so I didn't know that balancing on the bike was the hardest part. somehow I balanced on a bike but never pedaled. Right? Don't.
What?
Easy.
Okay,
easy.
no, I just confused. But
Yeah, no,
you was just gliding. Were you walking your bike?
No, I
up
was
the hill?
faking. This is the word. So the bike, I walked the bike up the hill and then ride it down by balancing, but I wouldn't pedal because in my mind it didn't click. No one told me, or I didn't ask, or I didn't listen that pedaling is not the hard part, right?
The balance is definitely the hard part. So you knew how to ride.
Exactly. Didn't know how to pedal? Like, that's easy. Well, we had sensitive territory.
Yeah, no, I got you.
No, I'm jiving. But that was a crude discovery to realize that I had already won the battle to the tune of 99%. And all I had to do was pedal. So once I learned how to, or once I pedaled, how about that?
Yes, it was always there.
I remember being in the streets, riding everything now, like, oh yeah, like,
because you had to make up for lost time.
Oh man, I remember even like you used to be able to play sick back then. You would play sick, and stay home, and you didn't really want to do that often because it was like nothing but Gilligan's Island. And I Love Lucy on the telly.
Andy Griffin.
Yeah, it was
Monsters.
That was a tough daytime program, boy. That was a tough schedule, man.
And the old Batman show too.
Yeah, that's crazy. A leather mask, or satin. That was an interesting outfit. Yeah,
boom.
Yeah. So anyway, I remember staying home and riding like this beach cruiser type thing my brother had on the patio. Mm-hmm. And it was like everything, man. But anyway, my pops had saw me riding in the street. I don't know how we just go right to breaking the rules, right? Yeah. So I just learned how to ride, and I'm riding in the streets, and then there's a car behind me. I was like, oh, okay, let me make space for him, and this pops, right? And he rolled down the window. He said, I guess it's time for you to get a bike now. Huh? I was like,
that's so cool, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good dude, man. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the busiest of streets at that time. I mean, now I'm certain that's manslaughter waiting to happen trying to be in the streets of that neighborhood. Yeah. But so once I got a bike, then that Sentinella La Brea thing was
it was a wrap. It was gone.
It was no longer, man. Rich just reminded me as well that we used to actually travel. Like, that's the word. You got to use travel. Like, we wasn't just biking. We was traveling. This was a vehicle. We used to go all the way to and it's hard to say all the way now because when I think about it, it's not that far. But as fifth graders, sixth graders, we would go all the way to Fox Hills Mall, right? So that's a whole nother city, Culver City. From Inglewood, we would bicycle there, like, for various reasons. We would skateboard there. We would walk there. We had a toy thief at one point. He was unfortunately under peer pressure. Like, it was a sad but beneficial thing. It actually benefited us, the regulars, right? The people from the neighborhood. He would visit. His name was like Mike, I think. And we thought he was older than he was. He just had like this cool mustache growing. But he was man children. Yeah, he was our age, but he let that lie go. I think he lied to a girl. We overheard it. No, he's 15. He was our age. Like, just had a cool mustache. And,
but did it work for him?
No, but I think he would visit. No, I don't know if it worked. I don't know what working for him at 12 or 11 would have been like, other than actually getting arrested. Like, that
I was just saying with
the girl. The mustache.
No, with the girl.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, I mean, he was a handsome man. Like, and he was a New Yorker, so I guess he would visit his family. A lot of
New York transplants to England, huh?
I think New Yorkers are on the run from New York in general in most states. Like, so I don't know if that's a good thing when they show up, but they always good peoples and they always bring that extra hustle.
They are.
So this New Yorker came, and I guess he was like it felt like he was trying to be our friend, like by giving us things. Or he just realized we was slow. Like what the fuck? Like, you want toys?
Go get them.
Go get them. Yeah. What you waiting for Christmas for? So
you must have been Jehovah's Witness.
So we would go to the mall, who at the time had the best toy store. Like, I think it probably was KB Toy or something.
Oh yeah, KB was the shit.
Yeah, and it was like he would just like kind of, it was like Christmas. It was like, point these things out or even tell him, and he'd go in there and get them. Like, we didn't even have to be in there with him. Like, this dude is officially...
How good was Toy Thief? I know I shouldn't be getting into that, but did he come with the full package or just the toy?
I think it varied on the toy. Like, because it scaled pretty high, and you couldn't bring that type of box out. But
no.
Other things, I mean, it was a combination of things. I don't remember the packages often, but... No, he was phenomenal. What, you knew a thief that actually kept it in the package?
Yeah, I mean, I knew. Yeah, I've seen it both ways. That's why I was just wondering, like, you know, it's just the level of thievery going on.
The level was just his daringness, his willingness to do it. So obviously, we were walking to the mall quite often. Mm-hmm. And what's a trip is, man, dude, things are different, man. We used to catch spiders. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I did that
in jars, right?
Yeah.
Catch butterflies. I mean, now, and I think it's post, what did they drop on LA for the fruit fly? They did fruit flies spraying in the 80s, right?
So they get killed off everything?
I'm almost certain, my man. Because there's no way that they just went away. They were everywhere. Like, it was, and I brought it up because I remember one time we, on the way, we were, catching spiders, and they were huge spiders. It's more residential you get, the less disturbed. Mm-hmm. So we come from the apartment side of Inglewood, and we walking on the residential through, I guess, official, Ladera. I guess that would be Ladera officially at some point. Or turn it into Windsor Hill. I don't know. But all behind Savon's. It used to be Savon's.
I remember Savon's.
Yeah. And all down this little hill. It's like all this residential living. And then we put the jar like in the bushes to come back. And the spiders, man, when we came back was overtaken by ants, man. We kind of
screwed them over.
Yeah, fed them. I mean, it was a vicious sight, but nobody really put that in perspective. I don't even know if...
Guys, you guys are currently better than us, because we
I don't know if that's covered in the Bible is what I was thinking.
No, I was just...
Don't catch insects.
No, we used to put spiders in with, like, wasp and, like...
to actually make them fight type of thing?
Yeah, we had battles, so we
I've been down that shit as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you throw in
But you don't want to throw a collection of beautiful spiders, or big was beautiful, right? To the ants, like
no, not to the ants.
That was a waste.
You wanted a good fight, like you wanted two different types of spider or another insect that was kind of aggressive to see what they was going to do. Like if you catch like a praying mantis.
I'm not familiar with that in my playing days. That's more desert, I guess.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah, we had praying mantis. It was butterflies, of course, but we catch the...
Why are you trying to reduce my...
No, I'm not. I'm just... Keep going, man. Keep going with your
butterfly. Oh, softy. I heard it. That's a cold game. We
barely even had butterflies, though. We only had like one type, it felt like. It was like these ones with like orange and black.
Yeah, that was a popular one. Yeah.
But no,
I'm not saying I was catching monarchs or nothing. I'm just saying butterflies.
Because I don't think the rest
of them
were
ladybugs, too. What's happening?
We had those. We had the roly polies. And
I actually got into a fight with my brother.
For ladybugs?
Yeah, he let him go. Obviously, he was the more humane one of the two. But I think that's one of my few times actually trying to take off on him. And I was a very small man, young. Did
you get the forehead? Did you get the forehead grab or?
Probably the choke out. Like but Pops remembers I was trying to get it off. Like
They say he remembers.
Yeah, the 8-year-old strength ain't really.
No, ain't nothing.
That ain't what you checking for as a teenager. Like get the fuck out of here. But. Why'd you do that? I mean, obviously, you saw the bigger picture of the file.
Did you have holes in your jar?
Yeah, but it's still like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
yeah, I got.
Well, now
at least you.
I think any
magnifying
parent,
glass and things, were you?
I think I ran with the crew that was okay with that too.
Okay.
And I ran the crew that actually set things on fire with the magnifying glass, like not just insects, but trying to start a fire. Like I actually ran with the would-be arson, like them
the fire starters.
I actually ran with this dude. Damn, man, this was a bullying situation right here. this is a bully. This dude named like Chantel or something. I was real young. I had just moved to the neighborhood, probably like got a kindergarten feel to it, like second, third grade feel. But this dude Chantel, he was a horrible peer. Like he's like, this is who your parents are talking about. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Like, don't do what he does. Like, it could have just said not peer, but don't do what Chantel does.
Anything he do wrong.
Don't nothing with him. So he would we would run together, and I think he literally lived like next door, next apartment over, and he was bad. Like he was the dude that was picking up cigarettes, you know what I'm saying, trying to smoke the, like if somebody flicked the butt, he would pick it up and try and like blast off with a little toke. Like I'm like,
I tried that once.
Yeah, I'm not saying once
Horrible.
is yeah, I'm sure I tried it with him. Like I'm not saying that is the problem. The problem is he would do this.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what his thing was.
It was in his rotation. This is what I'm saying. And of course, this is the dude I found a gun with. I mean, the sequence of events that
you just wound up finding a gun.
It was a gun. It was like an underground. Those apartments had like underground parking, and it was a trash can situation back there, and or under there. And I don't know if it was helping them take the trash out or something, but a gun was found, and in hindsight, I don't know if it was found or he.
That was his gun?
Yeah, because like I remember it was like a little 25. I didn't know that at the time, but you know,
in hindsight,
yeah, and it was like being looked at. All this is the scenario of getting killed as a child by another child. Like this is it. Like it's and again, the parents did not raise this ignorance in me. Like that's what's so deep. Like you get all of the code, and then you go out and you just
do dumb shit.
Yes, this is officially bad, right? So I'm like, I'm with this. He said, "Let's go." Won't. Well, I don't know what that means. What mean?
Oh, bro, there's so much in that.
I should have did nothing.
It's the contract at the bottom of the commercial. Like, I come to the store, and it's like, I'll take this medicine. It's like, whoop, 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 whoop. Like,
exactly. So this is the woo, woo, woo. I'm like, okay, like, oh my gosh, if you don't take your kindergarten ass indoors, like, this is what we warned you about. You're supposed to be on your big wheel, like. So we run behind like some other apartment building, and he's like trying to figure out how it works.
Damn.
Yeah, all bad.
That's exactly how you get shot.
Yeah, this is true. And anyway, nothing became it. I remember kind of telling my brother, like, we found a gun. He said, anytime you find a gun, bring it to me. I was like, whoa, I don't know if that.
Easy.
Are you saying for my safety?
Or you just say.
You collect guns? What are you talking about right
like
now?
7 in my drawer now.
Yeah, that was an odd response. But anyway, I remember what made it a bully situation was not my attraction to his exciting, because I think that's the other thing. I don't think parents know how exciting the fuck up is. The dude that's outside that's lawless, oh man,
yeah, he's fearless. Right?
Yeah, it's like,
to be admired.
It's cracking. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, me
scared?
either. You ain't got to go in, me either.
Yeah. Oh man, that's how you get your ass whooped. But yeah,
yeah. So this dude wasn't friendly because he it was a situation. I don't know if it was his cousin or something. I don't know who these people are that, like, they have some real transient living in hindsight. Who are these people? These new people that want to play. You know what I'm saying? So this dude
just appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, he ended up being man, he was an older dude, and he got me in like a tussle. And I remember like kind of looking at Chantel, ain't this your partner? Like, stop this dude. Like, and I remember kind of being on the floor, and I remember even like trying to ground and pound me, right? Like,
damn.
But thankfully, like, I had the reflex and the presence of mind to like turn my face at being pinned. You know, just somebody stronger pinning you down. Yeah. I think most younger brothers experience this. You know, this it's not even a loss because it happens often. It's just like it's gotta.
It's preparing you for this moment.
Clearly,
yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah, because when the dude swings, I move the face, and then he hits his hand like on the fence, like like a little wooden fence that was by the house, and if obviously he got splinters and whatnot in his, and he's being very however old he is now, like he's not the tough guy obviously with injury, but I think that was the decline of my fascination with that particular bad boy. Mm-hmm. But not before.
Yeah.
Not before we have a jumping contest, right?
Yeah, a jumping contest.
Like jumping now. Now this 726 is actually the address. Like this is
okay.
That's deep to remember that. By the way, Inglewood Avenue, 726, right? We lived in this little house. It was really a duplex, but the front part was a house, right? Mm-hmm. And it had a little driveway. But somehow the carport with the apartment next door went down, ours went up, right? So it was a differential, right?
Yeah.
And it had like a wooden fence situation, a wooden fence. This is obviously before bars got popular. Believe it or not, there was a time before bars.
Before bars and gates.
Yeah, that type of gate that we're familiar with is everywhere.
Yeah.
So this was like a wooden thing. And it had planks kicked out of it. And Chantel, in his brilliance, said, we should jump. It's like, yo.
Jump over the fence?
Jump. Climb through the fence and jump down. Like hang. I don't know why the misconception with young people was that if you hang off and it shortens the distance, then any distance now is all good. So it's like, it don't matter if
you're 4 feet shorter, man. Come on. This is impeccable logic, man.
Dude, that was bad, right? So, but I'm out here like, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Down for the cause.
Yeah, it was foolish, man. So the planks that were missing were like seemed to be on damn near almost the highest level, like right. I mean, this thing was many feet up. Like I can't guesstimate. Many feet up, way too much for a little 7-year-old or 8 or however old I was to be hanging out of this these broken planks and hanging down to try and jump down. But again, the camaraderie, I hate to say peer pressure, because there was none. Chantel was just he was adventurous in a criminal way. Like, he wasn't like, come here, little man. He just didn't defend me when big man, you know what I'm saying, was about to punch my lights out.
Shit,
yeah,
I ain't going to beat up today? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't teamwork there. That made me view him a little differently. But anyway, so he jumps and then I jump. And then there was these two twins that lived in the apartments behind the house we were in. And they saw it, but I don't know if they were younger or they just, I don't know, they wasn't getting with the Chantel groove. Chantel, I mean, the thing with the bully types and the criminals, the pre-criminals, is that they seemed to be athletic. Like, they seemed to have some shit figured out, like, with, you know, physically. Like, and I don't know, so I ran with these cats. So I think my physicality was, you know, was on par. Yeah. Getting there. I wasn't.
You can hang.
Yeah, I can hang. I didn't create the bad decisions, but, you know, I can participate with some type of effectiveness, right? So these young dudes, they not only, like I said, they were young, they just weren't, you know, they weren't athletic in that sense, right? These dudes, we walk away from that had been crossed off our list of things to do that day. Come to find out, these dudes must have saw us, and they tried it. And I don't.
Bad?
Oh
damn!
I don't know if they had to hang jump science, man, or they just took a leap, homie.
Oh, they just jumped. Oh,
dude. So they jump. One of them jump and get broken all up. Of course,
damn.
It's not to be jumped from. It's to be hang jump.
Yeah,
from.
Not even then, but
yeah. If you must.
Yeah.
So, of course, their father is...
asked them, where did you learn this from? Yes. Who told you to do this? Who showed you how to do this?
And me, not even Chantel, the inventor.
The redhead.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So he come bang on the door, Pops. And I can remember, like, literally, like, I loosely remember, like, hiding, like, under the bed type of, you know, just real official trouble, like, dude, like. And I hear him at the door, ooh, and I'm like, that's not even true. Like, he said he pushed him. That's what the dude went home and said,
he went with the straight lie. Like, I can't take no responsibility.
Yeah, so Pops was talking to his Pops, and he stood in the gap. He was like, yo, come here, and I think I was being defiant. I don't remember facing him down, but maybe I had to. Just decide the dynamics of my house where I don't think you can stay anywhere.
Nah.
So I said that ain't what happened, and I told him my version. I don't know if I included Chantel and or what, but that was horrible. Like, what are you doing? Like, you weren't invited to play. Clearly, we made the right decision. You know what I'm saying?
Not to mess with you.
Me and my cigarette smoking friend.
Cigarette smoking, gun toting.
Yeah, made the right decision.
Jumping.
To leave you losers out of the loop for a reason. Like, if you don't get your own lane and let me destroy myself with my friend.
How dare they save you by snitching?
Yeah, but I remember he was fascinated with Rico, who's I previously mentioned. Like, he wanted to be a gangbanger. Like, again, I never, in hindsight, knew people's life. Like, something was like, he didn't go into everybody's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when it was like snack time, and Rich would be like, you hungry? And I'm like, yeah. It's a crew of us, and it'd be like, all right, let's be in this corner, and it was like the whole crew is here, and it was like the whole crew ain't welcome. You know what I'm saying? So we'd go to his house, it'd be like a scene out of a damn like Leave It to Beaver or something. Mom's would get some like fried bologna sandwich cracking or something with some Lay's original chips or something. Wash that down with some sugar water, some Kool-Aid. Like, it was like, I was like, damn, man, thank you for inviting me home. Fuck them other dudes, they not worthy. Fuck them. This is, I mean, damn, man.
That's exactly how it be. Only my brother liked to feed the neighborhood. Like, I know my best friend, it was only like me. Like, come on in, but everybody else is just like, no, he'll be out soon.
Yeah, it was great, man. Like, that was good stuff. And unless his step pops was there, that dude wasn't kind, man. What the hell?
He was a hater.
Yeah, he was a hater. He was a lightweight hater, man. I got to verify with your brother, but I can't remember that. Can't remember that he wasn't as warm as Mom's. Mom's was super cool. Like, who is this dude? Trying to ruin our lunch. Yeah. This lunch, man, you gotta eat.
Nigga Pop's trying to make his salad. Where's all the bologna at?
I don't know what that was.
You brought this dude home.
Yeah, but
drinking up all the Kool-Aid. Oh, man.
And then there was other cats that would go in, and it's like, just stay in, like, or they'll go in, don't bring nothing out, or they'll be the cats that go in and bring out
and not share.
And not share. They got to slap that out their head. You don't get the fuck out of here with that.
Oh, you was one of those?
Not necessarily, but I was in the circle. I always ran with a Chantel, clearly, like,
your crew was always the goons, man. Okay.
Yeah, but what I used to bring to the table, I used to make this cinnamon toast, man. That
with the sugar and the cinnamon.
Yeah. The big sister definitely taught me to get out of her face with the make this yourself.
You learned.
Do it yourself. Yeah. So I was going. They never had it like they just. It was like, who makes cinnamon toast from scratch, like. So I'll go in, toast us and something, put my little butter on, put my little sugar, cinnamon combo there, and be out like, I mean, going heavy too.
Did you cut yours, or you just did a whole?
I did it always, but not necessarily cut. I just went heavy with the topping. Like,
you got to.
Yeah, it's the way
it turns into that almost to it. You got to soak into the butter, right?
Oh man,
the technique,
create
man.
this little like
sugary goodness.
Yeah, it was life was good, man, and so I would share as much as that as I could, but that was kind of what you knew. You come outside and either you sharing or you starting to fight. Like, what's happening? Like, so
yeah, we hungry out here.
Yeah, stay in the house with all that privilege. You know what I'm saying?
Not privilege.
Oh,
have us out here with the damn water and you over here munching.
Yeah, but it was always like something to do. It was like super. I mean, and when it wasn't, we went into like boredom created. From boredom we created, like, so boredom was like it was okay to be bored, whereas now you see young people like, I can't be bored, this is fun or nothing, like fun or death. Like, what the hell?
They don't even know how to have fun no more. You ask people like, "Yo, what you do for fun?" They give you a blank look, like, like what? Fun? Like what you do? Like, oh,
I make memes.
Oh yeah. I think technology is killing us.
No, it's. I mean, and it's funny because we had. I remember the first Nintendo drop. The Super Nintendo came home. I remember. I mean, man,
hold on, wait a minute. Super like the NES, right? NES.
I don't know what the one came with Gyromite, but let me go right before
Nintendo.
that. Atari made it home.
The 2600.
No, the first one, whatever the first one. I don't know. It had no number. It was just a joystick in a black and brown box.
I thought that was the 2600.
Okay, maybe it is. I don't have a number, but we didn't call it that. Just like we didn't call Star Wars like Episode 4.
Yeah, that was the Star Wars.
Yeah. So the combat was it. It had like tanks, like I don't even know how many. What do they call the dimensions? But it was 2D. It was horrible, but it was super fun.
Yeah.
It was tanks. It was planes. It was don't put it on my color TV. Like, y'all take that to the small TV. Don't mess up my
the
TV.
The small black and white one with the knobs.
That's exactly. Like, get that off my TV. And then, of course, you sneak. I mean, it was foul. What is with children, man? Like,
entitled.
This is your food, clothes, and shelter provider. And we still on some, we going to bend this route. Like, she not
she tripping.
Yeah, she's like, we got it from here. Like, and then when the TV jammed up, you're like, damn, do mess up the TV. Like,
did it? For real?
Yeah, I think it actually wouldn't catch that that antenna cleanness,
Wow, I never knew that there was like a reason.
Yeah,
behind
there's a history, and there we go with the arrogance of youth. Like,
they actually read the instructions.
Yeah, just go to work. Like, we got it from here. We'll fuck up your appliances.
Oh man, pops can't watch basketball because they're playing tanks.
Exactly. So I remember when that Christmas came with the Nintendo, and it came with Gyromite, and it came with the robot. Like,
I remember that robot.
Yeah. But I remember the games started coming. Like, you'd be at somebody's house, and they'd be like, "I got Pitfall." Like, what's Pitfall? You'd be looking through the window. I was like, damn. I remember Mighty's house in particular. He was older than us. He let us come in, and it was like, damn, now we got to get the game. It never stopped. I wonder if them parents hated the fact that they got us a system that kept releasing games post-Christmas.
To this day.
Yeah, it got to be like, damn, I thought I got you a game. Like, nice one game. I already flipped it
over again.
Yeah, I even remember Mustafa fighting over a game.
Damn.
Yeah, Zelda at this time was...
yeah, that's fightable. It's a fightable game.
Yeah, he borrowed it from this cat named Eric, and if the details are incorrect, I apologize, but
tell the story. He'll clear it up.
They're not incorrect, but but these cats, he borrowed the game, and at that time it was one of the first games that you had to save with a code on the game. It was no like external drive.
Mega Man, you had to save codes on.
Yeah, so I guess he gave the game back to the dude, and he had accidentally erased it. And I don't know if he told the dude or whatever. But the dude came back to his house and was banging on the door and being discourteous to my man's moms, So of course anything is fighting words to Mustafa, but these are obviously fighting.
Mama. Yeah.
This is another king of the school, you know what I'm saying? So he shows up to fight, and this was not a fight I don't think ordinary students would pick, because Eric seemed like one of those people that were left behind several times. Like,
so not only was he a king of the school, he had the age gap.
No. Mustafa was king of school. This dude was just Eric, grown up in kid classes. But what the hell
he was left behind.
Yeah, so I don't know what that was about, but this dude's gonna defend his mother's honor, and it was honorable, but it was like, yo, like Eric, like, okay. So they walked. This is a Crozier days, so they walked through like City Hall, on the other side of City Hall on Florence, like. And they started fighting. It was an even fight. It was a horribly even fight. Same thing with the Mark and Rico. Yeah, that's funny. So obviously, kings of the school don't need to fight because they're evenly,
Yeah, somehow that power just distributes.
So it was like boom, boom, just knuckling and squabbling and you know. And then the Dirty Mac thing would be like somebody threw my man.
Scoop slam.
No, threw Mustafa's shoe like on a roof or something. Just some salty hate shit.
Somebody who couldn't fight him, like, oh, he's fighting right now. Don't give him his shoe.
Oh, the king is fighting. He's distracted.
This your king.
Yeah, so I mean, it went, and then it was like a sucker punch that was tried to be thrown. I mean, it was an even fight. Nobody won or lost, and it didn't end the way it should have because Mustafa wasn't gang affiliated, and unfortunately,
Eric was.
Yeah, exactly. So allegedly, like the next morning, some additional things happened. It didn't have to do with Eric directly. You feel me? But the support team came somehow. Yeah, so I mean, and then my man still didn't take no loss. He is not, you know what I'm saying, actually currently solid gold. Not 1, 2 lose, you know what I'm saying? He just was in that situation, which again goes back to like, although it's not the desired structure, it is a structure that was in place and at this particular time in Old Inglewood, right? But playing in general, like it grew and grew. As a matter of fact, gang banging is like had a fun origin for the young cats. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like an outlaw thing. But thankfully, like ours was contained with fun, like you know, like just more authentic fun, and not always authentic. I mean, like I remember running through construction sites. You know, as a matter of fact, I ran through the mom's house, the condo that was built.
Oh, before it was built.
Before it was built, we was running and trashing the construction site, all in the name of fun. Now, mind you,
yeah. But now when the stairs collapsing, we know who did it.
Yeah, but we was witnessing the gentrification, and we were playing within the confines of it. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, the whole neighborhood was a playground. I think that's what's important. It wasn't a room. It wasn't a street or a building. It was like wherever there was fun, like let's go find it. Like you know what I'm saying? Even with biking, it wasn't just traveling to Fox. It was traveling everywhere. It was like a mode of transportation. And then Rad had come out around that time. It was a bicycle movie. It was really shaping. Like it was dope. It was like, and he did a move on there where he was on the run from somebody in a lighthearted, campy 80s way.
Yeah.
And he jumped on the bike. He took the bike and he jumped on top of like a parked car, and he rolled up the car, and it was like, oh shit, like, and he just he kept, you know, he was running from somebody by jumping. Yeah. But his was in like a probably appropriate, right? It was in a junkyard. When we set out to do what was
the street with two real cars, that's what I'm talking about.
Easy.
You need to get pistol whipped.
Yeah, so it's behind Jola Bowl, which is a bowling alley, which is like on La Brea and like across from like Kingfish, right? La Brea and like Beach somehow winds, you know. And anyway, we cycling, and we on our way from Jola Bowl because, of course, in our day of game playing, we mixed in some arcade. Like, some arcade had some arcade. We played some arcade. We biked our way to, you know what I'm saying, where the arcades were. We played our games with whoever had quarters, and, you know, yeah. So we are leaving, and it's like, yo, let's do the rad or whatever. I don't know whose idea that was. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is probably around time, you know, Mark is obviously the best of the bike stories include Mark. You know what I'm saying? Okay. We had Rich, Rob, for sure. Like it was even a cat named Cowboy. He done a little signature, you know what I'm saying? You know, with his bike. But I don't know whose idea it was to jump on, you know,
the cars.
Yeah. Not even the cars, a car. And then the first person do it, which I would assume was Mark because he was the best rider. Boom, he jumped, boom, like oh shit.
So like, bunny hop too?
Bunny hop onto the hood of the car and then roll over the roof or just jump off the edge, whatever. So anyway, one person do it, two people do it. Third person, bam, like they jump
And they missed a little bit?
No. They cleared it. But the speed that they were going, the thing, literally, the wheel bursted through the window, man. Broke the windshield. This ain't a junkyard car. This is
somebody's vehicle.
Yes, that was parked, probably working or bowling, like in the bowling alley. Got to come out to this. Now that unfortunately came with with playing outside.
That's why kids ain't allowed to play no more. Exactly. We find out all the
activity.
secrets.
We thinking that it was fun, like
delinquents.
Yeah, so we ended up obviously laughing and hollering. I don't know why that level of wrongness is always the most fun. The most fun. I mean, even throwing rocks. I remember we had rock fights. It goes to show pre-gentrification. There was obviously lots with rocks in it, right?
Yeah.
And we would be throwing rocks at each other, and then unfortunately the Chantels of the crew would
throw them through windows,
throw them at moving cars as part of fun. Yeah, this is the underbelly to
this is wildin'.
Yeah, and then of course certain cars would stop, and then there'd be a problem. Like obviously, because you're throwing rocks at a moving vehicle, So it was obviously some downsides. But what's interesting to it all is that the parents sent us out with rules. And somehow we didn't
broke every last one.
What the hell, man? That sucks as a child, or reflecting back to a child and from putting it into the scope of the parent. Like, damn, here I am giving you food, clothes, and shelter, and all I ask for you is to take the trash out and don't get killed. Like, don't trespass and don't vandalize.
And the first thing you do is trespass.
Yeah, don't travel past Centinela and La Brea. You Culver City.
What should we do? Go past Centinela.
Yeah, well, what else we gonna do with these wheels?
Yeah. How dare they gift us the wheels and try to restrain us?
Exactly.
They knew what this was.
Exactly. Playing outside, man.
Oh, man.